about is how writing is an exercise of trust. I know often I'll say writing is an act of faith, and you can probably relate, but to actually sit down and take that time to write, to put words on paper, it's vulnerable. It takes courage, especially when we have the intention of sharing those words with other people. I think as writers, it really begins privately, just us and the paper, and giving ourselves space and grace to put down what's on our heart, to have a messy draft, rough draft, to just get it out. And then as we're editing and fine tuning, we're thinking about the reader and making it accessible to them. But there's so much trust in this process. There's trusting ourselves, which is why I keep talking about being kind to yourself, being grace filled towards yourself. It's really hard to trust someone who's always mean and critical and demeaning to you, and that includes your own self talk. So, the more we can be gracious and kind to ourselves, the more trust we build when we're in that initial drafting phase. And then another layer of trust is that as Christians, we're trusting God with our writing. We're trusting Him through this process. And especially for new writers, there's so many unknowns. It can feel like paralyzing, even, where you're just like, there's so much I don't know how to start, and we can make it so big in our brains. And so it's trusting God that you have enough right now to take your next small step. And if you don't, if you feel stuck, that's what this group is for. Share a post, tell us what's going on. There's so many seasoned writers in here who can give you feedback and ideas. And so trusting God that we have enough for our next step, and then taking that next small step. Because as we continue writing and moving forward, we are going to grow in the process as writers, and God is going to change and shape our writing and change and shape us. So trusting God is another layer of trust as a writer. And then the third area is that as we share our words, as we share our stories, and people read them, we are actually building trust with the readers. So if you think about some of your favorite authors, and then you think about trust, there's a connection there. I was thinking about this today. One of my current favorite authors is Frederick Backman, and I love the way he writes. I love his characters. They're so relatable and human, and the way he talks about their quirks and their faults is very endearing and very freeing as a reader. And so part of why I love his work so much is that I trust it. I trust these characters he's creating. I trust the stories he's weaving. And I like the mindset and thoughts kind of behind it. And so for you as a writer, that's what you get to do. You're building that trust with your readers. So I wanted to talk about that today because trust is such an important factor, and so often we get stuck in procrastination or fear, and then we're not realizing, you know what, if I can increase my trust in myself, be kind to myself, if I can increase my trust of God in this process, creating space to hear from Him, and then also if I can pass on that trust then to my readers to with my story. So I hope that that encourages